Welcome to What Burns Me Up, the podcast, your weekly dose of avoidance because life be lifing and we all need a break from the mundane. I am your host, Miss August, a wife, mother of four, and a beauty professional with well over a decade of experience as a model, makeup artist, and visual consultant. What burns me up is a phrase that we use when we have experienced our fair share of pet peeves. And guess what? I really like to say, child, I'm taking it back. This is a place where we come to blow things way out of proportion because we can. So let's talk about it. Get ready for some truth, some theories, some tricks, some tea, and some triggers, baby. What burns me up starts now. Welcome to What Burns Me Up, the podcast. Your weekly look into a good time, but not for a long time. And baby, I have went back and forth and back about what I wanted to talk about. And the more I started to think about this issue, I say, I got to discuss this because it's burning me up. And I did not realize that, pain is one of those things that if it's not dealt with in a timely fashion, we end up allowing pain to spill over in our lives in different places. For example, if like something traumatic happens, we lose a loved one, we go through a divorce, we, have a relationship in, we tend to, we drop out of school. Anything, we tend to deal with our traumas differently, and we don't really learn the grieving process and how we can go through hurt to healing. And I was just like, you know what? The first mannerisms of trauma bonding that I can show up in my life was my reflection of me being in church. Everybody coming in because they're broken. Everybody coming in because, we all relate that through this situation or our situations, no matter what they was or were, we have this discourse on someone or something has been our savior, but the whole essence of it was because we came through trauma. Now, I've been through several churches in my life, and so this is not a church bashing episode where I have graduated from going to trauma-based churches and graduated to, maybe prosperity churches and going to deliverance churches. Some churches serve different purposes when we go up, but this is not an episode about church. This is an episode not only about accountability, but how trauma shows up in our everyday life. And we have relationships based off of traumatic and gossiping experiences. Now, this is not for everybody, but trauma bonding is truly a real thing. It's something that we don't even realize have matriculated through our thoughts and patterns and the way that we undergird the coming together as a community, sometimes undergird, more so coming together as friends. And sometimes our best friends stop being our best friends because the trauma that we ensue together no longer serves us. So we can't even continue to grow and connect mentally, spiritually or even physically anymore. We don't drink as much as we used to drink because the trauma that I grew from and grew through, you're still going through it. We can't even gossip about the same things that we've been gossiping about for years because I have forgiven said person, but you're still holding on to all of the many skills and, resources that maybe we have come to know and grow through, but some people grow at different stages. I want to talk about trauma because I'm still realizing as a growing adult that I'm still going through trauma bonding even with my own parent. Yeah. I realize when certain situations go on in my life, I'll call my mom and that's our only relatable discussion, we only relate if something traumatic or gossipy is happening. And that's not good, And, over the years, I realized that was me and my mom's portion. We only related through negative experiences. And going to therapy and talking to people and, having open ears and, closed mouths when you speak help you a lot to realize that, sometimes the only reason why you and your best friend is because both of y'all were maybe, I don't want to say I don't want to use negative slurs, but maybe the only thing that you guys relate to is because it's something traumatic, because y'all used to run the streets together, because you used to dealing with drug dealers, because you used to being a hoe, because you got molested, because you got hurt by the same dude. Those traumatic experiences bond people. And what burns me up about bonding through traumatic experiences is that when one person grows, the other person sometimes feel like that people are, quote unquote, either changing for the bad or they're outgrowing what is still causing no healing in the relationship. So maybe this is not going to be no real funny what burns me up, the podcast. But I just want to make us self-aware on who is our friend and how we start to make an inventory check on, how we are serving in the relationships that we have. Because most times when we really feel like that this is my best friend for 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, we're not even realizing that the only reason why we best friends is because we've been hurting the same. The only reason why you and your mom can have all of these crazy conversations for an hour and 2 hours is because you guys still haven't dealt with your own issues, but it feels good to talk about everybody else around you. So-and-so up the street. What's her name? Aunt. Miss Mama's cousin. It feels so good to just invoke thoughts through gossip and trauma, but nobody is really willing to do the work and say that, hey, maybe this relationship has to end. Maybe I can't talk to this person for 4 hours a day at a time because I'm hurting. I even realized through some of my past relationships, I went through a situation where I got robbed a couple of years ago, and I realized I gained so many friends and people who I quote unquote thought that I knew or think that I know, but I realized that I gained them through a traumatic experience. And it wasn't until after that experience about a year later that I started weeding through, saying that I just wanted this many people around me so that I could feel safe going to and fro, or maybe, the said experiences that we had similar was really bonding us, but there really wasn't a friendship. We sitting up there and we bonding over trauma. We bonding over gossip. We bonding over the same way that a person, was backbiting towards me. They did the same thing to you. And because they displayed those same behaviors, we're both hurting from the same things. We're bleeding the same. Our blood is right there. It is dripping, dripping, dripping. And then we're adding people into the fold and we're saying the same things to them. And guess what's happening? It's only perpetuating over and over again in the same communities that we're saying that, hey, we want to heal it. We want to be better about it. No, but that's blood. That's trauma. That's hurt. That's anger. That's frustration. That's unsaid words. Those are conversations that were never heard, never had. But even though we're having them, we still ain't healing from them. So this week, what burns me up is traumatic experiences, bleeding on people, not even saying that even though I'm bleeding and I'm hurting, that I won't do that to somebody else. I won't do that to somebody else. And it's a real thing, y'all. We got to get a hold of our beliefs. We got to get a hold of what's hurting us. And we got to solve those issues faster, sooner. Because the only thing that we do is perpetuate hate on other people. Even though it doesn't look like hate sometimes, even though it doesn't feel like hate, it still shows up as it because it's negative. It's self-serving, And that's it. Let's move on. Listen, this week on What Buys Me Up, let's just have a clear conversation. I'm not a dressed down girl, you know. I mean, I guess I am. But whatever. I don't like to define myself. I ain't into defining all of that mess. All them words, I don't do that. The point is that I know a brand. It's God is Dope. I don't have no sponsorship, no nothing. I just literally buy from them because I like the message. I like if I gotta throw on a t-shirt and it say God is Dope, I'm cool with that. I love them for real. In the grand scheme of things, every time I check my text messages, which I can't stand on, child, they not overbearing unless they having a sale. And every time they have a sale, Miss Mamas, I buy enough for me and some to give away. I like the messaging. I like the branding. Listen, I'm not saying that these are 50, 60 Simon Cowell t-shirts. You know, this ain't 100 thread count. This ain't giving a thing or whatever. It's just something to put on, but the messaging is amazing. I love God is Dope. I love what they doing. I love how affordable they are. I love how timely their shipping comes. I'm just a fan of what they do. They have bags, they have premium wear. I own it all, and I'm cool with that because I like showing up and being positive and kind first. And even if I'm not feeling positive and I'm not feeling kind, even when these types of affirmations, it helped me to show up a little bit better. All I'm saying is this. Child, go get you 15 t-shirts, child, for says $65. Go get your stuff. That's all I'm saying. Go get your stuff. Have it come to your door, and instead of wearing them stinking gray things that you done had since college and ate all the oozing noodles in, and still wearing them holy t-shirts, child, just get you a few God is Dope. They only $6.99. Sometimes they be $4.99 and $5.99. Get you some t-shirts, put them on, and it's giving a block of business for me. And that's it. That's all I got to say. Remember, if there is smoke, there is some fire somewhere. I'm telling you something that I know. If you see smoke, fire is to ensue. And that's probably going to burn me up. So listen, until next week, peace.